Throughout history, the US dollar has maintained a stronghold as the world's primary reserve currency. However, in recent years, growing dissatisfaction with American financial policies and geopolitical influence has spurred a global movement towards de-dollarization as countries seek to reduce their reliance on dollar. You might not know, but in the 19th century, the British pound sterling was the main reserve currency for many countries. It was in 1920s when US dollars started to replace the British pound as the main global currency because the US came out of World War I relatively strong and received a lot of gold during the war. After World War II, US became an even bigger superpower. In 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the US dollar as the primary currency for international trade. This agreement, signed by 44 countries, marked a significant shift in global financial dynamics. Since then, the US dollar has dominated global trade, with the US Department of the Treasury exerting significant control over the SWIFT financial transfer system, also holding considerable influence over global financial transactions and the ability to impose sanctions on foreign entities and individuals. Why countries are moving away from US dollar? And what is the future of dollar? Let's understand all in this video. According to the IMF, 58.81% of foreign exchange reserves are held in US dollars, 19.69% in euros, and 2.15% in Chinese renminbi, with the remaining reserves in currencies like the British pound, Japanese yen, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and others. The US dollar is particularly attractive, being the world's reserve currency and the one used in many international business deals. But here's the catch. In 2001, 71.2% of foreign reserves were in US dollars, while the euro accounted for 20% and the Chinese yuan was a mere 0.5%. By 2009, the US dollar had declined to 62.2%, the euro had increased to 27%, and the Chinese yuan had grown to 1%. Now, in 2024, the US dollar has shrunk to 58.81%, the euro to 19.69%, but the Chinese yuan has increased to 2.15%. Although US dollar remains the dominant global reserve currency, its share of foreign exchange reserves has been steadily declining over the years. This shift indicates that other currencies are gradually gaining more acceptance and trust in the international market. The diversification of foreign reserves suggests that countries are exploring alternatives to the US dollar, possibly to reduce reliance on a single currency and mitigate risks associated with economic and geopolitical shifts. Wait, before we continue the video, we'd like to mention that 90% of you haven't subscribed to our channel yet. Please subscribe to receive regular updates. Also, don't forget to like this video and share your opinion in the comments before hearing ours. Now, let's begin. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, along with recent additions Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates are at the forefront of this movement. These countries, which now cover about 30% of the world's land and 45% of its population, have a combined GDP of over $30.70 trillion as of 2023, and holds almost 37% of the world's GDP. To challenge Western economic dominance, BRICS established the new development bank with a $100 billion capital and a $100 billion reserve currency pool in 2014. This initiative marked a significant step towards creating financial systems independent of Western influence. Since 2011, China has been gradually moving away from the US dollar in trade, preferring the yuan. By March 2024, more than 52% of China's international transactions were settled in yuan, surpassing the dollar, which accounted for 42.8%. This is a significant change from 2010, when less than 1% of international payments were made in yuan. The transformation highlights China's strategic efforts and remarkable success in elevating its currency's global status. Over the years, China has implemented policies and formed trade agreements to promote the yuan's use in international trade. This shift not only reflects China's growing economic influence, but also indicates a broader trend of countries seeking alternatives to the US dollar. In March 2023, China and Brazil agreed to trade using their own currencies. Also, in December 2022, China encouraged settling oil trade payments in yuan during the China GCC summit. By 2023, China was using yuan to purchase $88 billion worth of Russian oil, coal, and metals. The increase in yuan settlements signifies a major milestone in China's journey toward de-dollarization and showcases its impact on the global financial system. Additionally, China has made changes to its reserves by holding fewer US Treasury bonds and increasing its gold reserves. This shows China's plan to make its financial holdings more stable and diverse as the global economy changes. For several years, Russia had already been using the euro as the main currency for BRICS trade. Also, President Putin mentioned that trade between Russia and China grew significantly in 2023, reaching over $227 billion, a 25% increase from before. He also noted that 90% of this trade was conducted using Russian rubles or Chinese yuan. This shows Russia's efforts to rely less on Western currencies and strengthen economic ties with China. Similarly, ASEAN countries met in Indonesia to discuss how to use their own currencies more and rely less on the dollar, euro, yen, and pound sterling. India and Malaysia also agreed to use the Indian rupee for their trade settlements. In the beginning of last year, Brazil and Argentina decided to start accepting payments in Chinese yuan for their trade settlements, marking a significant shift in their economic relations. Similarly, Bolivia is considering the yuan due to a lack of US dollars. Bilateral trade agreements between countries such as India, Russia, and Pakistan involve trading in national currencies, furthering the trend of de-dollarization. The movement towards de-dollarization is gaining momentum globally. Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Thailand are considering reducing their dependence on the US dollar. While the USD has been declining as the global currency in recent decades, it cannot be dethroned just yet. A reserve currency needs to be freely convertible and have deep and liquid bond markets to be considered safe for foreign central banks to hold. Central banks must trust the currency. The US, with its large, open, and liquid market for treasury securities, fits that role. Who will take the throne as the global currency? There are two currencies that are currently hyped, the euro and the Chinese yuan. Although the euro is the second global currency, there is no possibility of it becoming the global currency as of now. One reason for this is that the euro has not overcome its own self-imposed limits on usage and adoption abroad. By strictly maintaining the ERM2, European exchange rate mechanism, exchange rate stability requirements, and the Maastricht deficit, inflation, and interest rate criteria for euro area entry, it has kept new applicants at a distance. As for the Chinese yuan, it is still not fully convertible. Chinese and foreign investors alike are concerned by the fact that Chinese financial institutions lack the transparency that has become the norm in the developed world. So what do you think? Is the dollar in danger? And can cryptocurrency dethrone the US dollar as the global currency? Or are there other currencies that could be alternatives to the US dollar? We are looking for your opinions in the comment section, and let us know which topic we should cover next. Please subscribe.